Hello, Americans. Welcome to Fixing America. In his latest remarks on poverty in America, Republican Paul Ryan said residents of inner cities are having a real culture problem. The House Budget Committee chairman indicated his new policy proposals will include work requirements, saying he plans to re-emphasize work and reform in our welfare programs. Ryan said, "We have got this tailspin of culture, in our inner cities in particular, of men not working and just generations of men not even thinking about working or learning to value the culture of work. So there is a real culture problem here that has to be dealt with." Ryan criticized inefficient welfare programs like food stamps and Medicaid. For his efforts, Paul Ryan was branded a racist. The following are the words of a political writer, Ron Christie, who is a black man. Quote, "When Congressman Paul Ryan talked about a tailspin of culture in our inner cities of men not working, he was accused wrongly of racism. I have known Paul for more than 20 years, and there is not a racist bone in his body." Representative Barbara Lee of California is the one who accused Ryan of offensive and racially charged language. Does Ms. Lee know Mr. Ryan personally? Has she spent time with him discussing ways to alleviate poverty in our rural and urban communities? I do, and I have. Late last year, I wrote a piece describing how Ryan could be the Jack Kemp of 2016 for the Republican Party. He is a protege of the late Congressman and Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under President Reagan. Knowing both men, I can tell you that neither viewed people based on the color of their skin, but as individuals. This is where Representative Lee's attack against her Republican colleague is so troubling. In 1965, the American poverty rate stood at 17.3%. After trillions of dollars of federal spending, the figure remained largely unchanged at 15% in 2012. In his report, Ryan identifies 92 federal programs that are designed to help lower-income Americans. In fiscal year 2012 alone, $799 billion was spent on low-income assistance programs. Clearly, money isn't the problem. Perhaps culture is a factor to poverty in America. There is something wrong with our society today that finds nothing wrong with over 40% of our children born into single-parent households. According to data that Ryan's report cites from the Census Bureau, single parenthood is directly correlated to poverty in our country today. While single women constitute less than 20% of all households, they head 34% of all poor households. According to the National Vital Statistics reports issued by the Department of Health and Human Services last year, the black out-of-wedlock birth rate for 2012 stood at a staggering 72.3%. So yes, Congresswoman Lee, I believe there has been a tailspin of culture in which nearly 3/4 of blacks born in America today are not blessed to have a mother and father living under the same roof. Rather than accuse Representative Ryan of being racist, why don't you call out the young black men who impregnate young black women before moving on to be baby daddy to yet another young black woman whose chances of graduating from high school or college become daunting?" End quote. Fixing America agrees. The welfare system is so broken, it hurts those it is designed to help. Because of the efforts to help black people over the last 50 years, the black inner-city population has best learned to manipulate the system so that they never even have to consider work. Welfare, food stamps, low-income housing, free health insurance, and more are theirs for the asking, with no real requirement that they try to better their lives. No, I am not racist. There are plenty of white people and brown people doing the same thing, and some that aren't even poor. I know a white woman who has received all these benefits for most of her life. She had one child after another to add to her payments from the government. She never needed the money. The father of the children has his own business and owns acreage. To make sure they got all the government goodies, the couple agreed not to get married. He still lives with the mother and children, but his income doesn't end all the government assistance because they are not married. And they claim he doesn't live with them. They have spent their lives scamming the government and living off us, the taxpayers, whose money is taken and funneled to them so that they don't have the inconvenience of having to work. The saddest part is that this is not unusual. The same story is happening all over America. This is what Paul Ryan was talking about. Kids that grow up in this environment think that they don't ever have to get a job or even graduate high school. What's the point in having a high school diploma if you don't ever need to use it to get a job? They just figure they can scam the government like their parents did. Requiring that welfare recipients work is just one way to help fix the system. Drug testing to qualify for welfare is another. Requiring those baby daddies who don't get married to avoid getting welfare cut off to their baby mamas to pay child support is another. The system is so broken it may never be fixed. But at least Paul Ryan has done research and is trying to find some solutions. God bless America.